All right, today we're going to zoom all the way in. I mean, down to the absolute foundation of all life. This is a big one because it's key to understanding not just the world around us, but the very core of what makes you, well, you. So let me start by asking you a question, a really big one. If someone asked what you're physically made of, what would you say? You might say, well, you're made of organs, bones, tissues. And you'd be right, of course. But that's not the whole story, not by a long shot. Those are just the big pieces of the puzzle. To really get what you're made of, we need to go much, much smaller. And that brings us right here, to the cell. This is the real fundamental answer. Every single living thing, and I mean everything, from the tiniest little bacterium to a gigantic blue whale, is built from and powered by these incredible little units. Okay, so let's dive into that. What does it actually mean when we say the cell is both a structural and a functional unit? Let's break that down because it's super important. So for structure, it's pretty straightforward. Cells are the literal building blocks that give you your shape. In fact, you're made of somewhere around 37 trillion of them. It's wild. And then there's the function part. They're like tiny little engines that run the whole show. Every breath you take, every thought that pops into your head, every single movement you make, all of it is powered by the work that's happening inside those trillions and trillions of cells. So, how do we get from all these microscopic cells to a single complex organism like a person? Well, it's all about organization. It's like life has a master plan, building itself up level by level. It all starts with that one basic unit, the cell. Now, when a whole bunch of similar cells team up to do a specific job, they form a tissue. Then, when different types of tissues come together, they create an organ, like your heart. After that, multiple organs cooperate in what we call an organ system. Think of your heart, blood, and blood vessels all working together in the circulatory system. And then you put all of those systems together, and what do you get? You get you, a complete organism. Now, if that whole hierarchy thing sounds a little abstract, don't worry. There's a perfect, really simple analogy that's going to make this whole thing just click. Just think about building a house. A single cell, that's like one single brick. You can't do much with one brick, right? But you put a bunch of bricks together and you get a wall. That's a tissue. Arrange the walls in a certain way and now you've got a room. That's an organ. And finally, you combine all the rooms and you have a complete house, a functioning organism. The cell is the brick for absolutely everything. So now we know what a cell is, which leads to a really fascinating question. Who figured this out? I mean, who was the first person to even see one? Well, the story starts in a surprisingly simple place, with a piece of cork. I want you to meet Robert Hooke. We're going back to 1665. He's an English scientist, and he's looking at a thin slice of cork under a microscope he designed himself. What he saw was this kind of honeycomb pattern of tiny box-like compartments. They reminded him of the small rooms or cells where monks lived, and the name just stuck. But here's the really crucial detail. Cork is just dead plant tissue. So what Hooke was actually seeing were the walls of the cells, the empty boxes where life used to be. Seeing the empty boxes was a huge first step, no doubt. But the next great leap forward wasn't just about seeing the boxes, it was about seeing what was actually living inside them. And that, well, that required a better microscope and a very, very curious mind. And that brings us to Antonie van Leeuwenhoek, just 9 years later. He was a Dutch cloth merchant, and he looked at a single drop of pond water through one of his powerful, handcrafted microscopes, and he was absolutely stunned. He saw this hidden world, teeming with tiny organisms swimming and darting all over the place. He called them animalcules. For the very first time in history, a person was actually watching living, single-celled life. So there you have it, that whole journey from Robert Hooke's empty boxes and a piece of dead cork to Leeuwenhoek's bustling world in a drop of water. That's what revealed the fundamental secret of biology. The cell is the basic building block and the intricate engine of all life. Which leaves us with one final, fascinating question to think about. If everything from a mushroom to a mouse to a person is built from the exact same fundamental component, the cell, then what is it that creates the absolutely breathtaking diversity of life that we see all around us? Something to ponder. Thanks for tuning in.